we'll see how their climb back up to the top leagues goes.
Yeah, and ManCloud has the record for all-time kills in the North American LCS, tied, I think, with Reckless, who made it up in EU. But he had it first. He had it first, and pretty much nobody's ever going to tie that record again.
For less games.
Because our splits are so much shorter.
Yeah, but we'll do kills per game instead, and then you'll kind of have the actual record be competing with. But either way, we are into champs like ourselves, of course. Sivir and Fizz away. Intense not allowed to play that, and honestly, Chunky Fresh had a pretty good Sivir game, or sorry, Fizz game in the first place, so makes a lot of sense to ban those out.
Fizzes are always really kind of potent. I see it in solo queue, and it's amazing. But then in actual competitive play, the only regions I really see thrive with Fizz top seems to be LCK and LPL. Every now and then you'll see a Fizz pop up in North America or in EU, and it just seems very lackluster.
It's because the teams feel more coordinated. Like, especially if you're playing tank Fizz opposed to AP Fizz, you need follow-up dive. Otherwise, you're not tanky enough to actually solo the backline. You're not Hecker. You're just a worse version of that champion if you go by yourself. But if you go with teammates, then you can't really be peeled off. Then you're going to do enough damage to knock them down. And unless you're going to be coordinated to make that happen, which we saw, honestly, a flaw in the Imagine game, where ManCloud and Chunky Fish are never on the same page, then it's not going to work out. So
he's a great duelist too. If you end up going for the Ignite and you get the fish on people, you're amplifying your damage. And if you go for the Cinder Hulk build, you just make the damage gap really large. They're doing 20% less, you're doing 20% more. So just really good duelist all around if you can set those up and actually land the fish. That's been a big problem for some people.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see if that ends up happening. Well, it's not going to happen. Fizz got banned in this game, but we'll see what Imagine chooses to pick instead. The first pick Rek'Sai. This is interesting. We keep seeing the tier list move around a whole bunch. None of the junglers got banned here. We normally saw first pick Gragas because of that. This time it's first pick Rek'Sai. Imagine has all the time in the world to pick that for themselves. The Nautilus flex pick and the early Corki goes through. Intense getting a comfort pick here.
This is looking a lot like the same composition that they ran yesterday. They ran exactly very, very close to this though. It was the Tristana Janna for the bottom lane. So I want to see what ends up happening here for the rest of Team Imagine.
Well, it's worth pointing out that Ezreal is still up. So in terms of like putting a composition together, Poke, you've already got the Corki in there, which makes you magic heavy, so they need attack damage somewhere else, and there's not an easy slot for it. But Renegades potentially well suited as they can take plenty of time. Though keep in mind, Imagine does have some point and click engage now. So if you're kind of centering around this champion being a centerpiece for a strategy, there's some engage for Imagine, and we'll see if Renegades can get counter engage. But they already chose Rek'Sai, not Gragas, so knockback's less likely, but Thresh can help that, and they are going to see the Ezreal on likely Alex Ich.
Yeah, I have no idea what I was saying about Team Imagine there for a second.
It's okay.
Sorry about that. I was like, Maple Street is in this game. That's right. So yeah. And anyway, so it looks nothing like what they were running yesterday on Team Imagine's side so far. The fact that they have that engage and they've drafted the Ezreal means that you do have ways to get to him. The Nautilus point and click will lock up
Mid-Jarvan.
But Mid-Jarvan will do it too. The Maokai is banned away though, so they won't have that option for Chunky Fresh to point and click and dive onto the Ezreal, and that's the most effective thing we've seen so far against it.
I mean, that's the thing is also if Vi ever decides that she wants to get played again. I mean, this is like the design of some of the champions is like, look, you have the best guaranteed lockdown engage in the game. You are Vi, you are Maokai, you are Nautilus. You click R and press them and they will get hit, or Maokai's case W, and that's sort of the intended counter picks for champions like Ezreal. We saw Gravity do it. We'll see if Team Imagine wants to even go that way at all, and right now, hovering on the second Azir game in a row for ManCloud. I mean, he was impressive on it the first time around. We know that typically Ezreal lanes end up being free farm lanes, and ManCloud could be very big this one, as Gragas does come through for Moon a bit later.
Okay, I was just predicting the future, because those are the same champions that Moon and ManCloud played yesterday.
There we go.
So those two are exactly the same. The composition looking very different, though. ManCloud, he was using that Azir to engage, so if he can perform those types of moves on Alex Ich today and push Alex into the team, that's going to bode much better for them today if they're able to lock him up. So he played the Varus yesterday on Alex Ich. Now he's another poke champion. Alex has just gone full poke now. He's no longer the assassin guy. He's all about the poke. He's all about the wave clear. It's a little depressing because he was just such a good
the occasional good like Rise games and stuff.
That's still not an assassin.
I mean, it's close enough. You walk up and do 700 damage in 0.2 seconds. It's It's basically Kha'Zix damage. The last two picks for Renegades, though, they're going to grab Urgot, and even though Maple plays a lot of AD Urgot, there's always a chance that is a flex pick mid Urgot for the AD Ezreal, but top lane Shen is in. We can't expect Thresh to go anywhere else than that. So the Renegades have their full lineup in. They do have plenty of poke and a lot of defense, Thresh and Shen to keep people alive. And Imagine have saved their top lane pick for last. We don't see teams do that very often. Even when blue side picks a mid laner earlier on, we still see teams very often save their mid for last. So Curious to see what Chunky Fresh wants to play. He'd actually been pretty good with the team on his Fizz. He was actually a pretty bright spot, so we'll see if he takes another sort of divey assassin like a Hecarim up there.
Okay, and just to kind of, I don't know if it's going to go with a Hecarim or something to dive and help assist, but you do want to see something like that against this AP Ezreal mid. But speaking of the AP Ezreal mid, he has Peel, he has Shen, he even has an Urgot to peel people off of him, and Urgot's relatively low damage is what kind of pushed him out of professional play, is people wanted more damage from that role. And speaking of damage out of that role.
Yeah.
Oh.
How about damage in a different role? Top lane Yasuo.
All right.
There's a lot of knock-up synergy. Azir has 2 different versions of it. Nautilus has 2 versions of it, and Gragas has 2 versions of it as well. So there's a lot of setup synergy here for the possibility. Now, last time we really saw Yasuo played, it was a counterpick for Gnar specifically. It was supposed to beat up that matchup. Here he's up against Shen. And also a time before that, back when Mundo was popular, Yasuo was considered a good pick into Mundo because you couldn't kill you had a license to farm your lane forever. Now Shen has better gank assistance, so you have to be a bit more worried about playing aggressively, but top lane Yasuo for Chunky Fresh. So far, I've liked him as a player on Imagine. It's only been a 1-game sample, but there's a chance this goes really well, and I always like seeing the different picks come through.
Yeah, I want to see what he does with this, if he's going to go for the Giant's Belt, the Bomby Cinder, what is he going to build? Because we've seen it back and forth a lot. So, oh man, a top lane out of a meta pick.
We'll see what happens. I love him. We're going to see if it works out well. These are maybe not the most standard compositions, although the Ezreal's pretty standard, but in the Challenger Series, we do get to see a lot of interesting champion picks.
So on LOLesports.com, the article, The New Top Idol, details what exactly Mousesports top laner Beansu was thinking when he locked in Galio against Gamers 2. And if you're curious to see how it went, you can also check out the entire game at our spoiler-free VOD hub. This one will be up there too, eventually on LOLesports.com. Click VODs, and you'll see how this Yasuo
you can just do slash
fares.
VODs.
That's
if you're
true.
already typing in, you might as well just hit the 4 of the keystrokes.
That's true. Slash VODs.
You load one less page, doesn't require mouse movements. It's just more efficient, guys. This guy doesn't even know how to use a computer right.
I like giving a lot of views to different pages. LO Esports gets a view, VODs gets a view.
What do you like, view brigading LOEsports.com? Careful, there'll be an Esports Express article about you.
Uh-oh.
All right, so
there hasn't been one yet, and I'm slightly
that means you're not doing anything wrong.
I know.
Because they really only do it to make fun of people, so
I don't know if I'm disappointed or happy. I
do that enough anyway. Continue.
I mean, I guess it means I haven't done anything wrong. I guess I'm happy about that, but just Esports Express in general.
Or you're forgettable.
That's
which might be worse.
That's a dark thought. I'll just be more wrong, like I was in Champion Select.
Yeah, this looks like the exact same comp with this Corki pickup.
Yeah, I honestly zoned out for a second.
I know how that goes. I really know how that goes.
I looked down at my notes and I realized I didn't put anything in here. Because Imagine's team.
Rip them up. They don't matter.
I know. Imagine's team is just completely different players.
Yeah.
They have nothing from week 2, week 3, or nothing from week 1 and 2. They have their week 3 now. And it's just not a single person. Exactly.
Well, ManCloud is about to get cut off in the hook from behind. He burns Summoner Heal early. Maybe didn't actually need to use it. He's still at 300 health. Okay, so that was...
Yeah, they got the Summoner spell.
Intricate level 1.
Got the Summoner spell, a little bit of back and forth there, and the hook coming up big. Remelia, I want to talk about this because Thresh has been banned 4 times against Renegades in their 5 games.
Yeah.
So giving this champion to Remelia is pretty much a death sentence in and of itself. The one time it wasn't banned against her, she picked it, went 0-2 and 12.
Yep.
Now, the other time it's not banned, picks it up for herself. So Remelia is all about these types of champions that lock people down. Thresh, Nautilus, Morgana, Annie, all about these pick champions. And she is so good at executing on that pattern. And when she gets it, it's very deadly.
Well, we'll see if the deadliness can continue here. Intense is actually pushing the wave out a little bit. You saw he like pulled the freeze and then immediately started attacking minions. So I know
sometimes.
Well, I know it was interesting because we keep seeing lane swap games evolve. We are in a lane swap, by the way. Imagine did send their dual lane topside. We've now seen the version that like Team Liquid and CLG and TSM were doing, where they dogpile top lane on the second wave with everyone but the jungler. And right now, Baby making sure that this blue buff steal will go off without a hitch. It will be an easy 2-buff start for Imagine. We'll see if Renegades are able to grab the opposing blue buff on the same side. Chunky Fresh will be helping Moon knock down the blue buff, and we'll see if these guys join with top lane soon. But triple jungling, definitely a fun one. And I'm really hoping, by the way, that Baby's running that support mastery, the utility mastery that gives you XP for being nearby other champions, because he'd get half a level by the time they're done jungling. Just if he has any XP at all.
Not sure. If his experiences jumps up randomly. We'll know. We'll know. Doesn't look like it.
It's too bad. I really like that mastery. I think it's really, really strong.
1 point for lane swaps. But
yeah, he's got the mastery. Sweet. Good. Good on you.
Does he?
I've seen it move, so I'm pretty sure. But maybe he was in minion range. I wasn't watching closely enough. I can look at it after the game. I can just look through the client and see if the mastery is there.
Regardless, you like that mastery.
It's amazing. Everyone should run it.
Even mid laners.
Okay, everyone who goes deep utility should run it. Which is really just supports. If you expect to be under level, then paired with other champions, aka supports, you should bring the mastery. Are we good now?
But what if I'm a jungler? And
you're not in lanes often enough, so you're taxing everybody. But this is going to be the top lane turret going down about 4 minutes. Chunky Fresh to absorb what he can. This freeze will be a bit awkward as... no, actually, the minion's going to die right about on time. He should be in a good spot. Gets the solo gold. I actually talked to one of the LCS AD carries about it. He said if you're not going to reach a pickaxe recall, which Corki never will, give it all to your top laner. Because there's no point if you hit the AD carry this time around. It gets them ahead instead. You can see Intense was already able to buy the Longsword and the Ruby Crystal. We're going to see a similar sort of recall situation. Maple Street, Longsword, and Tier, and turrets died about the same times. Now, Chunky Fresh is already getting experience in gold, and right now that's not happening for RF.
Yeah, and you were talking about how you want to give it to the top laner and the gold to that carry. Well, here's the thing is, this is a composition that's centered a little bit around Yasuo. If Chunky Fresh has a good game, you can expect Imagine just overall to have a really good game because they have so many ways to knock up people and set up his ultimate the last breath. RNG though, this is Alex Each centered. Maple Street's damage is very low on this Urgot, so when Alex Each, the poke champion, the champion that does so much damage right now, has to come online for Ezreal and Alex Each to actually execute on this composition.
Yeah, and you're seeing actually this being paid forward. You notice that Renegades choose the lane matchup that's actually atypical. They don't put the dual lane over by the dragon. Instead, they're trying to put the dual lane near this Yasuo to try to hold him down. Moon holding this side of the map to make sure he's safe, but they knew Shen couldn't fight Yasuo. They'd rather put the 2-on-1 against him to hold him down, and so far that's actually working.
Starve him a little bit, RF. You can farm a little bit better under turret as Shen. If they go in on you, you just taunt them like this. Baby's going to take 2 turret shots here, possibly 3. Nope, just 2.
And Intense sitting there, AFK hitting the turret. It's going to get pretty low. It's still before 7 minutes, so the Corki damage on it's not that high. But you're seeing a fairly fearless Imagine lineup, knocking down minion waves as fast as possible, harassing RF as much as they can, and trying to get some progress done. Meanwhile, topside, a somewhat similar story. Chunky Fresh, though, does have Moon backing him up, making this a bit harder to really hold down. Yeah,
Crumbs' activity on this map has pretty much just been farming. He got that bottom turret. Tense right in range, takes 1 turret shot. Not going to take another for trouble.
Down. Yeah, now the tricky thing is RF does have teleport. Even though he's taking all this damage, he should be able to get back in the lane before too terribly long and make this turret be very painful. Question is, and actually it's kind of unfortunate, with Moon showing top lane, RF knows he's safe. There's no really big playmaking that can be done. There's no Gragas getting possible.
But here comes Crumbs to the top lane. He's going to clear out this ward with the pink down. And he's going to see if he can apply pressure on it. They're very healthy. Baby taking more shots.
Oh, they're TP. They're going to go for RF right away. Wow! An overstep by RF. He dies straight up 1v2. Chunky Fresh TP's down, which doesn't mean a whole lot. Moon going to run away from Crumbs, but Renegades misplaying the lane swap. Big lead to Imagine.
In all honesty, that TP probably should have been canceled so he could stay underneath this turret, farm it a little bit more. Crumbs would try to dive, but also Moon is there too to help dissuade that. So they could have gotten more off of that because he honestly didn't get anything for that TP. Yeah,
I think they chose the risk-averse strategy of let's make sure we don't die. You saw him run away from the turret at the very beginning. I'm not disagreeing that it was the wrong choice. I'm just kind of thinking about their mindset here, and they wanted to make sure no kills went over to Maple. This will mean the top turret still goes down, though, so 2 turrets to 2. And the only real differentiation here, the fact that Imagine did get that really nice first blood off the overstep of RF.
Yeah, and that went over to the support. Went over to Baby, so it's not the most ideal situation, but still.
200 gold in the wrong spot, essentially.
Yeah. See what RF does with this. He has the lane frozen towards him. He's 14 CS down. And this Yasuo, Chunky Fresh, is having a good game so far.
Yeah, keep in mind it is TP down on the Yasuo, which means if he stays top lane, there was no easy way for Imagine to play for the dragon here. They're going to get Scuttler, which will help them sort of the vision game, and Sheen's done for Corki pretty early, but it just will be difficult. So Chunky Fresh is hard shoving top lane. They're trying to get somebody to react to this one. RF will have TP, and he's going to be 6 before too long.
When somebody reacts to it, you have to do something with that reaction, because otherwise you're just giving over free farm. And here comes RF up to the top lane. He'll catch some of it. Crumbs might catch it for him, but it looks like he's not going to. Crumbs is just going to stick around, making sure that he doesn't stay. So yeah, RF pretty much just gets to pick up a frozen wave here.
Yeah. Maple doing something similar, actually. The wave pushing of Imagine is going to maybe bite them in the back. So they're up 900 gold right now, and we'll see how much that changes as we move on because of the state of these minion waves. We'll keep up when we get to the next couple of team fights here, but ManCloud is, in fact, getting strong amount of farm, as you expected in a Zir matchup against Ezreal. Alex is forced to play a little bit defensively, but he's honestly not taking much damage here, and we'll see if he ever goes for the big play. He's going to try right now for Alex Itch, knocks him. Ooh! Alex, the arcane shift, yeah, it's actually fairly easy for Ezreal to get away from these kind of antics.
Yeah, as long as you spell buffer the E, you make sure that you get it in. Input buffering.
Yeah,
sure
it's almost impossible for ManCloud to land his E knock up directly into the R. The timing window is so incredibly short that you're likely to not lock out Ezreal. And it's going to be Imagine looking for the dragon. They had Chunky Fresh shove in top so that they could run him to the bot lane now and go for a drag. Looks like this will be successful. Alex Itch, no ulti, and low enough he doesn't want to try. Crumbs is going to try for the steal, and it's going to go to Crumbs! He gets the dragon steal. Man, it went down to like 550. Moon had the window to smite it. It just didn't for way too long.
Rather slow take there. It's 100%.
It sat at 550 for like a full second.
Yeah, it's 510 with smite for Moon at level 6.
Oh, man.
So it was just right out of smite range. They couldn't do anything about Crumbs' presence. But that's what a threshold will give your team.
Yep.
If you want to go for that dragon, it's almost no risk unless you get caught. We saw Baby's reaction to that. The hook a little bit late.
All right, unfortunate things, and also speaking of unfortunate things, Moon did manage to snag his team's blue buff with his red buff, so it doesn't go over to ManCloud. Unfortunate here for the Imagine Gru. Level 6 for both these top laners. RF has all the room in the world to leave this lane and help his teammates out. Chunky Fresh, despite getting a top lane for a long time, despite RF dying, they're just hiding minions.
Yep. Came back in minions because of the freeze. Like I said, you have to be able to do a lot with that, and they didn't actually get anything out of that freeze. They gave a whole bunch of gold over to RNG, they gave it over to RF, and they didn't even get Dragon for it because Crumbs is steal.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be an unfortunate thing as we sit now only 300 to 400 gold apart, so a large gold gap has been closed, and in fact now the first blood doesn't even make the gold difference anymore, so Renegades generally winning in the minion department. Runeglaive done on Ezreal. He's also holding up perfectly fine against ManCloud. And life gets a bit difficult. Chunky Fresh just does not want to fight RF. He also has fairly weak ward control, making it a little bit difficult for him to be safe up against these potential Rek'Sai ganks. His wards actually have all just timed out right now, making it very difficult for Chunky Fresh to feel safe up here.
Keep tabs on everybody, so when they have vision of Crumbs, he'll be able to shove a little bit forward. But all the lanes just trying to shove up right now. Alex trying to get some leeway in the mid. You see bot lane is shoving out. They saw Moon on the left side, so they're able to do this. Crumbs could go for a play here. Baby gets hooked.
And that's going to be Baby going down. Shenel popped on Maple to keep him alive because he was taking a whole lot of damage. A late teleport by Chunky Fresh. He should cancel this, but he doesn't, and Windwall's the wrong direction. Renegades get away scot clean, and Chunky Fresh's second bad TP in a row.
That's Shen ultimate onto Maple. Then the swap was really cool, because then Shen is immediately in front of the person because of the swap. Beautifully played. ManCloud looks like he wants to go for a play here himself.
Misses the play, though, does not land the knockup. Alex Itch gets away safely. The wave clear is fine. ManCloud just going to get the scraps of minions here. Easy pink ward clear. Alex jumps the wall. He's going to stay safe, and it is once again Trailblazer on the Runeglaive Ezreal. We occasionally see different builds, but Trailblazer the most common one.
Trailblazer for the wave clear.
And the regen in some cases.
We saw
put some wards down. Yeah.
Shall go for the
We occasionally see different versions. Yeah. As is normal for him, actually. It's what he's been doing in solo queue. But we're talking about Alex Itch here, and he's doing just fine. Now, a gold lead for Renegades. Once again, we had Imagine winning in kills, but losing in farm. And same exact scenario. The question is, when does Renegades choose to play any more aggressively? Because right now, they're happy to farm up. It's a poke team. They can wait for the Shen ulti again, and we may see more slow, methodical play from the blue side.
So far, Imagine has been the team that's giving Renegades the most trouble.
Yeah.
Out of all the matches that they've played, this 5-0 team experiences the most deficit early, most early game moves from Imagine, which is good to see from this squad, especially since it's all new.
Yeah. Well, they're taking it very seriously. I got to talk to their new jungler Moon before the game. Hold on. It's going to be Chunky Fresh taking some damage. Challenging Smite used by Crumbs, but Chunky will be safe. Okay. So I talked to Moon, and he says, yeah, so after this game, I'm flying in about 6 hours. Oh. Said, where to? Was going to the, of course, the Team Imagine Gaming House. And then it said the rest of his team's going to be there by the beginning of next week. And they're all going to live together and do what they can to practice and be as powerful as they can as a unit. So even though they are freshly put together, they're all being put into the compound, essentially, and we'll see if that team... it was a bad term for it, but...
Into the compound!
Into the Team Imagine house, you know, and they're going to be doing what they can to shore up their synergy and teamwork issues, and maybe they'll be a real contender later on.
Trying to take this blue buff away. Oh, gets picked up there by ManCloud.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
So, if you're a fan of Enemy, you're part of the Enemy Nation.
Okay.
If you're a fan of Imagine, are you part of the Imagination?
Yes.
I think
obviously, yeah.
They should brand for that.
Of course.
Be part of the Imagination. Apparently, their roster for the first 2 weeks was just a figment of my imagination, because it doesn't exist anymore.
That's just bad. Don't even.
No, it's true.
No, shut up.
It's true. But this one looks great.
I mean, up against the assumed #1 team in Challenger, the undefeated Team Renegades. I mean, certainly, of course, a difficult team to beat, but we'll have to see, though. A couple games doesn't always mean everything, but maybe a good start for these guys. Chunky Fresh still farming what he can, but now getting a bit farther and farther behind RF. The same thing happens in mid lane, same thing in jungle, same thing on AD carry. Imagine are just slowly getting farther and farther behind here. 1,000 gold deficit, not a great thing. Dragon's up at 30. Crumbs got the Scuttler controlled. The blue buff, I believe, will time out off ManCloud before the Dragon even comes back up, and he'll have a couple seconds of it. Okay, he'll have a little bit left of the buff, but it's just a game going better and better for Renegades.
Yeah, and as this match goes on, you really have to take team comps into consideration more and more. Imagine has multiple threats. They have 3 really big threats on their team. A lot of setup for Chunky Fresh, but then RNG really has Alex Each, a little bit of Maple Street. Crumbs is a threat early on with his Warrior enchant, but as the game progresses, if they are able to pick off Alex, this team is going to run all over them on Imagine's side.
We're seeing Dragon Attempt #2, the exact same play going to be happening, and it is going to go to the blue team yet again. Alex Hitch gets it, but at least Imagine learned the lesson and got a kill back, but it's 2 Dragons for 0 with just hitting some spells.
They're going to try to siege down the mid lane. RF is shoving the top lane, so he's going to pull Chunky Fresh up there to deal with him. Chunky Fresh will clear a wave, but RF has ways to get into this fight where Chunky Fresh doesn't for a little while because his TP is down.
Ooh, but that hook's going to come down on a baby, down to half HP, and the poke coming through, forced to anchor away, and that means Imagine can't take the turret down. Their tanks are taking too much damage, and no siege is going to happen for that kill. Nothing gained for that Imagine kill.
Yeah, and the fact that RF just has ways into this fight with TP and his stand united means that you have to back off before he can get into that fight and turn it around. They almost got a turret for themselves, though, on Imagine's side. They almost jumped to a gold lead because of that siege, because they got the pick onto Crumbs. Crumbs goes bottom to try and break this wave, but now they get to regroup again. Imagine, I wouldn't be surprised if they keep trying to force fights, because they're a very team fight-centric composition. You want all 5 of these members grouped up to deal with RNG.
And keep in mind, yeah, you talk about team fight power. Oh, ManCloud in such a bad spot. Box, Ignite, everything used. Pops ulti to look for RF. Gets a shield. ManCloud stays alive. Oh, he dodges a true shot. Barrage, maybe a false shot there as Imagine picks up the kill.
I was just talking about it. The damage of this RNG squad is not that high. And when you can't kill ManCloud in a CC back to forth between 2 members, but it's your top laner and your support, you really wish you had one of those 2 early damage dealers there. This is just going to get worse as time goes on, though. Imagine 200 gold down, more threats on this team, and Alex is just pivotal to all of this. He didn't land that true shot barrage. That would have evened it up. But now they have to deal with this moving forward, because Alex is frankly just not getting fed at this point in the game. He's waiting for those turn-on points where he gets those items and he gets to be the sole threat of the team.
Yeah, well, I mean, thankfully, due to his farm, he is the highest gold player in the game right now. But yeah, Ezreal is okay at one item, but until you reach the Luden's Echo power spike, it's just not nearly as scary. Rank 2 ulti's in, so he can do some things. We'll see as that continues on. Mid lane farm still traded back and forth. Alex is, of course, winning this lane by a fair bit at this point. But we're still seeing some great plays off of ManCloud. He's certainly a very good player.
It looks like they're just going to keep trying to apply pressure. This turret's very low. If ManCloud gets to make contact with it, he can just blow it up fairly quickly, just like that.
And there you go. The the blasting smite from Alex, not enough to keep the turret alive. Now a bot lane play. Crumbs ults in, gets a Shen ulti, and Chunky Fresh trying to get away. Does get away from the dash. Double knockup comes in, but he is still fairly slow. Waits to see if he wants to jump the wall. Crumbs already on the other side of him, though. Chunky Fresh going to be in a pretty bad spot. The flash shotgun comes through, gets the kill, goes to RF.
Oh, man.
Renegades fire back.
At that point, you're just going, team? 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 Took a long time for Imagine to react to that play. They were still shoving down mid lane. ManCloud did not travel down towards Chunky Fresh. Chunky Fresh had flash as well. Didn't find an escape route for himself. Baby's caught. RF's going to lock him up.
Man, so much CC from this lineup, but the damage is not there. Okay, it is, because it's a pretty squishy support, but it took him a bit of time. Assist goes to Maple Street. The flash swap, beautiful play. ManCloud's got nowhere to go. Played in, knocked around, double kill. 4 kills for RF on this Shen.
So I said I wouldn't be surprised if this team groups up and just keeps fighting from Imagine's side, but they're scattered to the wings right now. They're not playing towards their strengths. They're getting picked off and playing into the whole pick comp of RNG. You're going to get thresh hooked. You're going to get taunted. You might get picked off by Rek'Sai, but there's also the swap from Maple Street. There's just a lot of single target CC here that you have to watch out for.
And it's interesting the way he built it too. He rushed Black Cleaver second. Normally we see Brutalizer, Last Whisper, things like that. It's very sort of team fight focused, and the armor shred to make Crumbs do more damage, I would guess. But off those kills, Renegade's able to push down the mid lane pretty quickly, pretty convincingly. And it will be their third. Oh, that hook onto Intense. A big flank kill goes through to Alex, and in comes Yasuo to the back line, but won't do nearly enough damage. Chunky Fresh flashes the wall. It's not his lantern after all. Double kill for Alex Ich. What a great fight for Renegades.
They didn't have ManCloud there. They didn't have a big threat. Chunky Fresh, no follow-up. And this is why you don't give Vermillia Thresh.
Yeah.
It's the most banned champion against Renegades, and she's going to play it because she's just so damn good at that champion. And to touch on the Black Cleaver point too, it's the best CDR item that Maple Street can pick up this game. He could go for a Frozen Heart, but Yasuo's going to shred through your bonus magic resistance, and Corki's going to poke mostly magic damage too. Look at that. Great, great hook there from Vermillia. Nice attempt at a retaliation there.
I mean, if Corki and Azir were in that fight still, you could see how good it would be.
Yeah.
He got Alex to half by himself, and if there was a real backline, it could have been big, but good hooks, good plays. Renegades up 3,000 gold now at 20 minutes. Definitely a considerable gold lead. Not insurmountable, but one that definitely matters here. See if any more can happen. 45 seconds to the next dragon, and again, twice in a row, Renegades have stolen that one away. Imagine, gotta feel a bit hurt about that, but maybe they find just what they're looking for.
Everybody was playing so calm and collected at the start. And then Imagine just seemed lost. It seemed like they weren't grouping. They didn't know how to group. Chunky Fresh got picked off, then ManCloud, then it was Intense afterwards. ManCloud was still coming back. Just a lot of disorganization there in Imagine. In a point in the game where Renegades exploited it immediately. Even right here, they're trying to take advantage of the fact that Maple is bottom. But
this should be good. Just push the top lane turret in. You got the inside track. Renegades, the hook's going to miss. A lot of damage can come through, and even Crumbs is still far. But Imagine, so afraid of getting jumped on. They don't want to be in this battle. They don't quick get the hook on Alex, who goes back in knowing Baby can't hurt him. That would have been an opportunity, maybe. Oh, no, Nautilus ult is down as well.
Maple's just going to get bot turret. During all this, Maple is doing a lot of damage to his bot lane turret.
Corki pushed in mid. He's looking for a way to fight this one. Hook comes in towards Baby, who's nearly got the ulti up. 2 seconds away. Crumbs poking, and they might drop him down before he can ult. Smite comes through. In goes Alex. Oh, man. Drops down ManCloud. Crumbs gets another as well. The chase down's working beautifully. 2 for nothing. Bot lane turret's already dead. Renegades wins this straight up 4v5.
Maple still doing damage to this bottom turret. Finally, Intense comes to deal with him, but that split there and the stall from Renegades just worked out perfectly. They're going to go for a Baron now.
Wow, 22-minute Baron still without the AD carry. Chunky Fresh and Intense both sent to defend. Now Moon looking for the redemption. Baron still gets hooked over the wall. In they go. The taunt, the Ezreal damage, the maybe damage to kill. Moon trying to flee, can't do it. Alex on a rampage, flashes the wall, as does RF to get into range sooner. and this should be enough to allow them to kill, but keep in mind, Chunky Fresh ain't far away. Towards the wall, does not have flash, though. He has to run around if he wants to make this happen. Won't do it. Blue team takes Baron. Huge lead for Renegades.
Enormous lead after that. Oh, man. It was so calm and collected for so long in IMG. They just needed to group up as 5 and execute on their comp, and they just kept getting picked off. It happened again.
What do you expect for a team that got formed like this week, basically?
Yeah.
You know, they all came together. You're seeing the glimmers of it. Like, they got their lane swaps down. They had some good ganks coming through, but yeah, the mid game, I mean, you can see the experience of Renegades clearly shining through.
Rough start, though. Rocky start for Renegades in this game. It was back and forth. They gave up some kills. The turret dive, RF not playing it perfectly, but all in all, they get their act together in the middle of the game, and Alex 100% online now. Said he wasn't fed when he was 0-0-0. Now jumps forward to 4-0-1 already, maintaining that CS advantage in the game. And now this Ezreal, you have some ways to deal with it, but you have to be able to reach him.
Yeah, and the tools to reach him just aren't really working anymore. The front line is not tanky enough. Moon, no second completed item. Baby on a catalyst, just not a lot of durability here for the front line. You're seeing how much damage those tanks are taking. And if they can't be disruptive, if they can't take some damage, then it means Chunky Fresh can't do much. Ooh. You see True Shot Barrage keep people to half HP. Like, imagine you don't have the tools to battle.
You have to send people back now. ManCloud can't stick around. They're going to lose this turret if he does. Yeah, he backed up. Working on his back. Crumbs just goes between the turrets. Oh, he stopped it. What?
Wards over the wall. Wards have good range.
Oh, man.
And then stops the recall. ManCloud stuck at low HP. Means mid lane tier 2 goes down. You're just seeing, like, these little smart plays by Renegades, right? Both Dragon Steel attempts. Crumbs' fun recall stopping. Now the push in towards Moon. Not a bad place for Gragas to be, but it's still a 2-on-1. Not great. Chunky Fresh to the back line. Can't do enough damage either. Maple Street just doesn't take damage at all. They've already killed off Baby. The swap in. Moon this time, maybe. Nope, gonna live again. Oh, and a big play from ManCloud does do what he can. A double kill still for Alex. Another one for Crumbs. Still nothing picked up for Imagine. They just can't fight at all. Intense force to flash away. Mid inhibitor turret's gonna go down.
Just so much coordination there from RNG, and you can see how they press it over IMG. They know that this is their way into the game. They played a composition that has a lot of pick and poke to it. In order to deal with this, you have to group up. You have to be coordinated in order to deal with it. One person takes one step out of line, they're going to get hooked, they're going to get picked off, and you're going to lose more for it. You can see 11K gold advantage just surged up to that from a very even game for the first 10 minutes. 25 minutes in already. Huge advantage. Intense!
Ooh, well, that was intense, but he got away, thankfully. Just a quick W away and all as well. Crumb steals a red buff. Jet skis over towards Dragon. It's not going to be up for a while, but that's fine. Renegades just, as you mentioned, snowballed this game so incredibly well. They found picks, they found team fights, they found everything they could possibly want and imagine. Haven't gotten a kill in the last, I'm going to say, 8 minutes roughly here. Just all Renegades all the time. And I always like that you can run ranged CC with poke-type champions. Because it is, if the hook lands, you're going to land your other few skill shots, right? Urgot lands E, Ezreal lands QW. Just, if a hook lands, there's guaranteed follow-up without even risk. It's always a strength for compositions. And Romelia landing so many good hooks means it's going to be easy.
Yeah, and when Romelia is a person that is very seasoned on that champion, you can put that trust in them that they're going to execute on those hooks. It just makes it seem really easy. Banner of Command, first item for Romelia here. Sitting on that Aegis for a little bit. But now they're playing around Barons. They're playing about closing this game 30 minutes in. I would be very surprised if it went past 33 minutes.
Yeah, it just depends how long they want to play it. We've seen Renegades play for multiple Barons just to be super safe and not throw anything away. But of course, this gold lead is so big, there really is not much of a risk in any of the pushes they go for. Still up to what they decide to do to close this game out. Imagine would need a small miracle, maybe a perfect Gragas ulti into a last breath from Yasuo. Could be a lot of burst. ManCloud can do the same. I mean, there are very many likely 3-man knockups, and maybe that's the way in. And a big team fight happens, and Alex loses all his damage to win wall. It'll take a lot, though. Renegades pushing up the bot lane. Azir turret buys a little bit of time, but not all that much. Loses armor and MR if Azir's not around. Makes it easy to kill. Good to go for maybe inhibitor number 2. The whole team is there, but there's no wave just yet. That seems like a badly timed Ezreal, though, because there's literally 15 seconds. Look at the minion wave.
Yeah, there's no minion wave.
Ezreal's going to heal to full before the minion wave reaches. Yeah, Alex has low cooldowns, but it's just a waste. Small misplay. How dare you, Alexich? Here's the next wave. Oh, Baby goes in for the play. They do what they can. They get for the knockouts, but Baby and ManCloud already are dead. Nothing doing for the Imagine squad. 3 killed already. They go for the play. I think it was the right choice to try to find an engage, but it's not going to be enough. 3 for 0. Second of him going down. They're going to go for the base.
They're going to go for the base here, see if they can pick up more kills. They have the super minion wave pouring down the middle now. They have this wave in the bottom side that has a boosted minion. They're ready to just end the game.
They've got so much damage to go in. 6-0 Renegades, an under 29-minute win after a close and contested early game. A great mid and late game for Renegades. 6-0, they're going to playoffs.
Very close early game, like you said. Great pick composition that they executed on in the mid game. Maple Street having great follow-up. Remilia doing the best she possibly could, and it was absolutely brilliant to watch. That's a great game there from Remilia. Hook after hook after hook. I was saying I was Alex Each centered. Turned out not to be so Alex Each centered in terms of execution if you're just picking people off all the time and exploiting their mistakes.
Yeah, it's true, and a lot of things got exploited. And some of them, this is what I really love, is really good League of Legends players basically invent ganks. They create situations that didn't exist before. One thing that I really, really liked was 15 minutes into the game, in the bot lane, Crumbs ulted to a tunnel in the river brush, and then got stand united on. There was no one on that side of the map except a tunnel, and suddenly a 2-man gank onto the Yasuo who has no backup at all. Even if your wards are great, if there's a tunnel around, you can suddenly 2-on-1 him. That's a really, really good gank. I'm glad to see that kind of stuff happen, because you just don't expect it very often. Like, and it's just, I don't have the right vocabulary to describe like why I like it, but just, it's, Crumbs decided this was going to happen, and it did.
Yeah, I think that's in the Rek'Sai champion spotlight somewhere. Rek'Sai ultis in, Shen comes in, and TF comes in too.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
3 people out of nowhere. So this is going to be broken, and we just saw it today. It looks pretty fun.
Only took one more person.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was really, really well played. Definitely a really fun one. Renegades 6-0, as I said, are going to playoffs for sure. Now, it depends what seed they get. There are no buys in the Challenger Series playoffs, but 1 through 4 does matter. Depends who you play in the first round here. We're looking at teams like Coast, who are incredibly scary teams. And the only team, actually, that looks playoff bound that Renegades haven't beaten yet. They 2-0'd Renegades. They already 2-0'd Cloud9 Tempest. So those are the other heavy favorites here. Those are actually the only other teams with wins, right? Those are the teams you expect to see in the playoffs. And so, the future matchup against Coast will be a fun one, and also I think Renegades dodging them in playoffs might be very important as well.
That's game 1 next week.
Yeah,
Coast versus Renegades. That's the game I'm looking most forward to out of the entire season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're definitely seeing some very clear winners. I think there's also some hope for Imagine. I mean, they are currently the 4th place team at 2-4. We may see them go into the playoffs, and we saw them have a solid first 10 minutes, solid first 20 minutes maybe. In their second game, or sorry, in game 1 yesterday against Renegades. So you can see that Imagine are contenders. The individual players are very good. You're seeing their bot lane is fine. Their lane swap game, they already learned that pretty quickly. But the mid-game shot calling, you said, their reluctance to group, their ability to get picked off, it's happening a little bit too much. It's going to take a bit more for Imagine to get on that footing.
But if they do make playoffs off of the record that they already have, the 2-4, they are going to be able to have more time to synergize. And that's a big thing if they're able to pick up some wins later on.
All right, we'll see if Imagine can make that road happen. But for now, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, then we have another rematch. It's going to be between Cloud9 Tempest and Winter Fox. Don't go anywhere. Fox, Ignite, everything used. Pops ulti to look for RF. Gets a shield. ManCloud stays alive. Oh, he dodges a true shot barrage. A big flank kill goes through to Alex, and in comes Yasuo to the back line, but won't do nearly enough damage. Chunky Fresh flashes the wall. Oh, Baby goes in for the play. They do what they can to get for the knockouts, but Baby and ManCloud already are dead. Nothing doing